Green flag waves. Hallagan once again jumps out to the early race lead. Hammaker is second. Wagaman third. Dietrich fourth. TJ Stites rounds out the top five. Then it's going to be Macri, Brock Zierfoss, Freddie Raymer. Hammaker battles back. Troy Wagaman tried to take her spot away, and they cost Troy another spot, though, as Danny Dietrich goes to the inside of Wagaman. So right now, it's Hallagan, Hammaker, Dietrich, Wagaman, and Stutz. Hallagan, your leader, already in race traffic, and plenty of it. Hammaker second, Dietrich is third. Wagaman fourth. Macri in that number 5 spot. Freddie Raymer in the 6th position. He's followed by Brock Zierfoss. Then it's TJ Stutz, Tyler Ross, and the 5C of Brenham Crouch off the pace here on the front straightaway. Once again, the caution flag waves. It's the 5C of Crouch coming to a stop right at the entrance to turn number 1. Single file restart, green flag in the air right now. Doug Hammaker takes a look to the inside. Nothing happening here. Here comes Danny Dietrich. What a run off turn 2. Dietrich's got. He'll bring Troy Wagaman Jr. with him. All of a sudden, Hammaker back in that number 4 spot. Here comes Hammaker battling back. Hammaker going to lose a spot, though. It's going to cost him. He tried to go to the inside. Didn't work. Now Macri goes up into the number 4 position. Anthony Macri trying to work his way towards the front of the field. Hallagan goes through 1 and 2, but guess what? Danny Dietrich definitely catching the 45 of Hallagan. Race traffic might be playing into Danny Dietrich's hand right here, right now. 17 laps remain. Dietrich closes in as Hallagan struggles to get around some of the race traffic. That time, Dietrich slipped a bit coming off turn 2, allowing Hallagan to open up some distance, and Dietrich may have a problem. The 27 of Wagaman. He's up there, and Dietrich has taken the lead. Danny Dietrich, a feature winner here already at BAPS Motor Speedway in 2025, is now your leader. Hallagan back to second. Wagaman is third. Macri fourth. Zierfoss works his way into the top 5. That's your top 5 right now. Freddie Raymer 6th. Doug Hammaker slipped to 7th. 8th. It's Dylan Norris. 9th. Tyler Ross. TJ Stutz is 10th. 11th. Dale Thomas in the Jacob Allen 1A machine. Plenty of racing action all around the speedway. Zierfoss gets by Raymer, sets his sights on the 39 of Macri. Zierfoss off turn 2. Tries to go to the inside of Macri. Macri strong up to the challenge. Here comes Raymer. Freddie Raymer goes to the inside of Zierfoss. Zierfoss turns back under. Tries to return the favor. They're side by side, wheel to wheel, elbow to elbow as he enter turn 1. And it's Zierfoss retaking the spot. Freddie Raymer trying to return the favor, cannot get it done as Danny Dietrich continues to stretch it out over the 45, Jeff Hallagan. The 27 of Wagaman. And I believe we've got a change for that 3rd position. Indeed we do. It's Brock Zierfoss. Zierfoss goes on the outside of Wagaman, takes over the 3rd spot. Freddie Raymer tries it on the inside, can't get it done. And now here comes Wagaman battling back. He'll get to the inside of Zierfoss. Zierfoss turns down under and tries to retake the spot, but this time it's going to be Wagaman holding on to the position. Meanwhile, here comes Zierfoss battling right back. White flag, final lap. No challenge for Danny Dietrich. He's out front. How about that battle, though, for the 3rd spot? It's Wagaman, Zierfoss, Raymer. Those 3 drivers back. Oh, what a move by Zierfoss. He went to the top. The door closed. He went to turn down underneath as Danny Dietrich picks up the win. The battle's going to be for third. It will be Zierfoss. Up top on the wing. There you go. Danny Dietrich.
SprintCarUnlimited.com coming to you from BAPS Motor Speedway. We're here with second place finisher Jeff Hallagan. You've had a lot of good runs here going, and just something happened, or whether it was somebody else, you, something breaking. Tonight you were able to capitalize, stay clean, and you get a second place run. It's got to feel good to finish one off here because you do show some speed at this place.
Yeah, I mean, we finished it off, I would say, but Danny's, when he passed me, I felt like I still had a shot, and then he started passing guys through the middle, and I just wasn't doing that tonight. But I felt like, I think we're pretty good. I think Dirk's got the car really rolling, and I think for me, it's just catching up. I feel like I'm a little behind still, so we're trying to race as much as possible. I'm just trying to catch up myself.
When you say you're trying to catch up, what's that mean?
I think it's just race mode. Racing with guys and knowing what to do. I feel like you make one mistake and you can lose 2 spots quickly. And I feel like the top guys right now just don't do that much. And even if they do, they're so slick about it. They can defend so quickly. It's just trying to get race craft. This is the term that everybody's using, the kids are using.
You were running second. Danny got away from you, but you had quite a battle going on behind you. Did you know how close Wagaman and Zierfoss were, and kind of how were you moving around to keep them behind you?
I felt like I was missing my marks a couple times in traffic, and then as the fuel load came off, I started getting a little better, and I felt like I could keep pace better. I knew about the middle of that race I wasn't doing too good, and then I think the last 10 laps I picked up the pace again and started picking a couple cars off, but it was tough because it was once we got to the point in lap traffic where those guys were going pretty good too, and it was just top dominant, so it was tough.
How important is a good run like this so early in the year? Port Royal's been losing races. You said, you haven't been able to get a lot of seat time. How big is this for your team to just get a good one out of the way and move on to the next race?
I would say it's big, but I felt like we've been a top 3 car. It's weird because this is the first top 3 we've had, but I felt like we've been a top 3 car. I feel like there were a couple of races where we kind of got buried starting order, and we drove up to the top 10, and then the races we did at start up front, I felt like I made a lot of mistakes, and we were close to being a top 3 car. Yeah, I think it's good, but I think we want to win. Because it's been a while since I've won, so I think that's the goal.
Kurt Williamson helping you out a little bit. How big is he? I mean, last year he worked with Chase Dietz. We saw what his program did. How much are you learning from him, and how much has he been a benefit to this team?
Huge benefit. I don't know what else to say. I mean, he's been around the block, and he makes cars fast. That's all I know. And they're fast. I mean, there were a couple of times I got in trouble this year because the car was so fast. I'm just not, I just got patient almost. Settle down a little bit. That's what last time we were here, I got in the chase, basically, ran him over, which happened. But it was because I watched the replay. I'm like, wow, didn't realize how fast we were coming off the corner. And I think it's just, like I said before, racecraft and getting it back. I mean, he's huge. I got Noah Colehouse too, who's also one of Chase's guys. Chase's best friend since he's been in high school, helped him all these years. So it's pretty cool because they're both, they want to win, I want to win, and I'm trying everything we can to win. It's time to go, basically.
Well, you got one to build on, and congratulations on a good run.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
SprintCarUnlimited.com coming to you from BAPS Motor Speedway. We're here with winner once again, Danny Dietrich at BAPS. No surprise, but before we get to that, Long night. Coming back from Peevely, 12, 13 hours in a rig, not comfortable. First off, what made you guys, how hard was it to make that decision last night? You were starting 19th in the feature to basically load up and come home before the feature was run.
Well, we didn't know it was going to rubber up, and I thought being slick, the top wasn't going to be as dominant. I thought, well, we have a pretty good shot here. I was pretty excited, actually, and was up looking at the racetrack to come back and make adjustments, and I started doing fence repair, and I realized talking to Cody Jacobs, it's getting pretty late. You know, it's 9:58. I remember looking at my phone, it was 9:58, and thinking, oh man, it's 11 o'clock at home already. Well, man, until I get out of here, it's going to be, home time's 1 o'clock. And that's if we're lucky, and we get home back here by 1 if we're lucky. And just decided to start 19th. We need to get out of there. We didn't know what traffic was going to be like getting out of the facility. Well, we did. We knew it was going to be bad. We didn't know how fast we were going to get out. We joked about if we ran the feature, guys, you can't go to the infield because we're going to need to take the rig out to the road and drive the race car out through the parking lot to load up to beat the traffic. Because anybody who's been to Peevely knows it's horrendous to get out of Peevely after a big crowd outlaw show, and they had a big crowd, so very difficult decision. We didn't drive 12 hours to load up, but they know we were there. We had good speed. We raced with what I thought was probably the fastest car there all weekend, which was Logan. We need to make some tweaks, and who knows, maybe we'll be back to the Ironman.
How satisfying is it when you make a tough decision like that to come back here and really dominate the A-Main?
Yeah, it's very humbling a little bit, that we made the right call, and we were able to capitalize. I felt like we have a really good car here, and I felt like when they watered the top, it was only going to make it better for me. It was going to give me more options. And when we get the traffic, I feel like our car is really good driving through the middle. I think we have a big advantage driving through the middle with speed. And when they got the traffic, I just tried to pick them off as quick and as fast as I could without, screwing myself up.
Did you know how big of a lead you had? I mean, you were driving away at the end.
No idea. I didn't know who was running second, if Hallagan was still going to be in second, and Macri was coming. Get to the point where you could really sail 1 and 2 pretty hard. And we know Anthony likes to hammer down on the curb, so I thought to myself, if he got the second, he might be here. So the way the track was, there was just no letting up. It was full-on attack mode. We didn't drive 12 hours to run second. That's for damn sure.
Again, this place, no matter where the groove is, whether it's top, bottom, middle, you find the fast way around here. I said the last time I talked to you, I think this is your best track, and you proved it again tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I just think we're really good here. Our setup's really good. It suits my driving style. I'm not going to give away any secrets of what we do here. That's why we have I had on-car camera last time we were here, and I won't post that video anywhere. There's things to be seen and things to learn from that in-car stuff, and I don't want to give anything away. I really don't. As a driver from the race car, the whole 9 yards, we're just not interested in giving away our secrets for this place. It's pretty fun to come here, and we don't win every time, but it is fun to be like a little playground for us sometimes, and hopefully we can keep it rolling. It can switch real quick.
We'll get some sleep.
Yeah, we need it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of SprintCarUnlimited.com live. I appreciate everybody joining the show. You can leave your questions in the chat, or you can give us a call at 1-844-543-85. I believe that's 89. Yes. Sorry. Before we get into the questions, we want to go through some of the storylines from the week that maybe we want to talk about. First is Logan Schuchart, who seems to be kind of upped his performance with the World of Outlaws. And by that, I mean, he's running like he did in 2020 when he finished second in the World of Outlaws point standings. I think we've been waiting this since then. And this weekend, he looked good, finished second, and then won Saturday night. He now has 10 top 5 finishes and a win in 15 starts with the series, and he's been in the top 10 14 times. Kyle Pruitt came on as crew chief, and I think he's been a big part of that success. So we'll see if they can keep it up the rest of the season and stay in that point battle. Moving on, Danny Dietrich was the big talk in Central Pennsylvania and also at Peevely. He made the trek out there but he made the commitment to run BAPS Sunday. He honored that commitment, actually surrendered his 19th place starting spot in Saturday's A main at Peevely, and jumped in the rig 12 hours back, and then he wins at BAPS Motor Speedway. It's something that I haven't seen for quite some time. It used to be, I don't want to say common, but Don Kreitz Jr. wins the Kings Royal. He was at Susquehanna the next night. Doug Wolfgang did that, and other legends through the 80s and probably early 90s. I've seen some other drivers do it in the late 90s. This was kind of reminiscent of that. And getting the win at BAPS Motor Speedway, he was really good. He was 6.8 seconds ahead of Jeff Hallagan at the finish. It was his second straight win at the Speedway and his third overall this season. And I wanted to also hit on High Limit versus the World of Outlaws. You know, Aaron Reitzel, Rico Abreu, and Spencer Basted struggled last Friday night, and all the chatter about High Limit being subpar compared to the Outlaws, that ramped up. It's been going on all year. So I thought it'd be fun to look at some stats, and I did a 90 at 9 on it today. And it's not as lopsided as you think. A year ago, these two factions ran against each other 24 times in the same track, same night, where the rosters were pretty much intact. And the wins were 13-11 in favor of the World of Outlaws. Top 5 finishes was a little more lopsided, 56-40 in favor of the Outlaws, but still definitely not a landslide. And then this year, top 5 finishes, which is kind of where you grade out in a national show, especially with 60 cars and higher fields, it's 9-8 in favor of the Outlaws. So High Limit isn't as far behind as people think, and the rosters are pretty close to the same. Obviously, Corey Day isn't with High Limit, but you have Aaron Reitzel there. So, and Aaron Reitzel had a top 5 on Saturday with Rico Abreu as well. Moving to the West Coast, Justin Sanders seems to be back. He swept the Mini Gold Cup weekend, but it wasn't easy, especially Saturday night. Tanner Holmes made it really difficult, past Sanders in 1 and 2 on the last lap, but he blew through 3 and 4 kind of hard, and Sanders hit the bottom and drove by him for the win. Still, Sanders looked really good. He struggled at the beginning of the year, but it wasn't so much him as they had some things wrong with the car. Got it straightened out, and now he's back to winning. Tanner Holmes, I also want to note, looked really good, and I almost don't want that deal to end in June when James McFadden comes in. Tanner Holmes goes back to his own car from the Tarleton car. I'd like to see him in the Tarleton car with Drew Warner for the entire season. But you never know. That might be a 90 at 9 later this week. And finally, all eyes will be on Knoxville Raceway this week. They have their 2-day World of Outlaws show. Obviously, the Outlaws will be there. Independent guys will be there. Knoxville regulars. And I expect a full High Limit field there. Everybody wants to get track time before the Nationals, even though it's April and it's not going to look anything like that. Knoxville just draws these guys. It's a commuter track, and I'm expecting 70 cars. That's what I'm hearing out there. So the weather looks good. So far, it's just going to be a little chilly. So if you want to talk about any of those storylines or anything else, let's start firing away. Who do we got first? All right. We actually have a call already. Wow. Daryl on line 1. Daryl, what do you got for me?
Hey, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Not too bad.
Hey, I was wanting to know, I'm a longtime listener. I appreciate your show. I love sprint car racing. I've been going to Chico since 1976. Ooh. So I remember the great days with Howdenchild and Kinzer camping right next to each other out there with all of us. Just a great time. But what did you think of Tanner crashing into the other Tarleton car? A lot of people didn't even
realize
that.
Yeah, they didn't even realize that. I saw that. I was more focused on, obviously, look, it was an inexperienced deal, in my opinion. I think Tanner's still learning to run up front, and the lap car just happened to be the Tarleton car, but he wasn't going to win that race. He blew through 3 and 4 way hard. He needed to just hit the bottom, and he would have won. And Sanders, being the veteran he is, just nailed the bottom and drove by by a lot, obviously, because Tanner got into the lap car. So it was unfortunate, but I like what I see from Tanner so far. And again, as I said earlier, I would like to see him and Drew Warner together the entire season, just to see what they can do. And they will be at Knoxville this week. So that's a little bonus for everyone who's going to be in the Midwest.
Yeah, I was talked to him a little bit when he was in the pits, and he said they were leaving straight after Chico, headed that way. So hopefully they drive safe, everything they do good. Thanks for talking to me, Jerry. You have a great day.
Thank you very much, Daryl. Appreciate it. All right. We're going to go to the chat now. Awesome job, BAPS Motor Speedway. Had a great crowd. By far, this is becoming my favorite track. No BS, no playing favorites, just great shows every time. I think BAPS right now, and I know this could get some blowback, but if you consider everything in totality, racing, reaching out to drivers, doing promoting different types of promotions, I think BAPS Motor Speedway right now it's the best. It's not that I do the pay-per-views there. It has nothing to do with it, because I've been critical of them in the past as well when need be. It's just their shows are pretty tight. I didn't like the third division, but everybody leaves them anyway. So you want to get your first division done. They're doing that, and the racing's really good, and they're getting big car counts. Last year, they averaged over 38. This year, 30 and 37. So BAPS Motor Speedway is doing a lot of good things. What else do we got? Narc, who is going to challenge Sanders for the championship? By the way, Golubic and Selzy and Holmes not running the full schedule. Don't know if Justin Sanders is either, because of that Calistoga race. He'll be up at Skagit. If they change that, I could see Sanders maybe doing it. If Sanders runs it, nobody's going to beat him. Although, I mean, he had a bad start, so I mean he's behind. I don't think Neto's running it. I don't know who's going to win that thing. There's just all the big guns. They're not doing it, and it's because of that Calistoga race, and also they'll be at Skagit that weekend. So we'll see. Who do you think top regional guy is in each region of racing? PA, California, and Midwest. Well, I'll start out. I'll go west to east. I'll say Justin Sanders in the West in California. The Midwest is tough. Because you can't count national touring guys or high limiter World of Outlaws. I mean, look, when they roll into Knoxville, which they have the bulk of the races, Knoxville and Huset's, I mean, Brian Brown's still good at Knoxville. Austin McCarl does well at Knoxville. I'll be interested to see how Parker Price Miller and Guy Forbrook do this year. So the Midwest is tough. PA, so far it's been Danny Dietrich. He has 3 wins. That flips around a little bit. Anthony Macri has struggled. I mean, I would say Macri. He's winning double digits every year. Led the nation in wins with 23 a couple years ago. So I'll say Anthony Macri, PA, Justin Sanders, California. Midwest, it's tough. It's kind of a toss-up depending on the week. But watch Parker Price Miller this year in Guy Forbrook's car. All right. What else do we got? We have Will on line 2. Will, what do you got for me?
Hey, thank you for taking my call. So far, this is a way better experience than being on the Chaz. You know, you talk for like 3 hours and you finally maybe get a question in. But thank you very much for taking the call.
No problem. What do you got?
My question is that my question is in California, why are all these guys that live in the state choosing not to run the whole NARC schedule? I don't understand.
Well, because there's bigger money at Skagit that weekend with the Calistoga race. I don't know if NARC had to run that weekend or if that was the only weekend on the schedule to run Calistoga, or they just want to keep guys in California. But you're not going to do it when you have big money races up at Skagit, and that's the problem.
I agree with that, and I think NARC is really taking a step backward here with that because they're unwilling to change that date. And it wasn't even on the schedule when the schedule came out originally.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake. I mean, when you look at your point champion and over the years and guys battling for the point championship, obviously you want your best guys in the state to be battling it out till the end. Like last year, I thought that got national attention when Cole Macedo and Justin Sanders, and obviously it's because both of them, I think, were out on the national tours for a little bit. Justin Sanders was in the Macri car, also ran the Swindell Speed Lab machine, and Cole Macedo was bouncing around. I think that when they were running out in California with NARC, I think that really showcased that battle. I thought a lot of people paid attention to it, and now you might not have that. So stars sell the sport, and if you don't have any stars running for your title, that makes it difficult. So I don't know what they do with that. Hopefully it works itself out.
I totally agree with what you just said. The stars sell the sport.
Yep.
That's why it's so difficult to go to Ocean Speedway or Stockton Speedway because a lot of the times the stars aren't there. And what's really sad is that Bud Kading and Tim Kading, they should be kicking everybody's butt, but they're getting their butts kicked.
Yeah,
what is going on?
I don't know what's wrong with Bud. He has not been good the last couple of years. I can't even remember the last time he won. He's getting lapped in the first race this year, which, I mean, that's never good when you're a Kading, any Kading. And TK, I think Tim, he'll have his share of success. He did it late last year. And I just think he needs to get going. I mean, they got to have races out there first. What are they, 2 races in for 410s, 3 races? So we'll see how that develops. I think TK right now will be better than Bud. I can't answer what's wrong with Bud. It's surprising to me.
Because they both started at Chico. They both started up front in their races, and they were tail end Charlie by the end.
Yeah, something's going on there. That's bad. That's bad.
You know, and the Zero car is a good car.
Right.
And, you know, it used to be TK at Chico was a lock, you know, I mean, and it's not that way anymore.
Times change, man. They change. And, you know, Sanders is, like I said earlier, Sanders is the best in that region. You know, and I think what is kind of interesting about it, he does it himself. Like, he manages the team. He's doing everything. He's working on it. And I think that doesn't happen often. And, you know, Dominic shows up. I expect Dom to be better this year. Golubic shows up. I think that car's fast at times as well. It's tougher out there. And now, Bud, I have no answer. And I don't know if it's just bad. There's no other way to describe it. TK, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, because last question, where is the Swindell Speed Lab car?
I think Kevin was dealing with some health issues. There's really no reason to come out early in the season at this point. I mean, there's really no big races yet. I think you'll see that car, you know, at the big shows. But I know he was dealing with some health issues. I talked to him last year at the Knoxville Nationals. It's just, he really has to be careful with his health. And look, he's running a business. So I just don't think you're going to see him run a regular race at Peevely. I think he's going to run the big races.
Well, thank you again for taking my call. It's a great experience on your show.
Well, thank you.
I just wish your competition would let us talk.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Randy Kopp, Bacon at Williams Grove and Lincoln this coming weekend. How do you think he'll fare? He'll be in the 20 car. Shawn Michael will be turning the wrenches on that. He'll do fine. I think obviously Lincoln is better suited for him. And the weather's 50-50 again. It's just Pennsylvania in April, March and April. It's just the way it is. The Grove looks better. It looks like a nice night at the Grove. They're going to have time trials. So I think Bacon will be okay. I'd say top 10. I don't know about top 5. It all depends, but we'll see. Okay. I was watching Rodman Rundown, and he mentioned a post from Grove Racing about fielding a second car to take all the stars with Tim Schaefer. Do you know anything about that? No, I do not. I do know Pete Grove's looking for a driver. Sorry, my daughter was calling me. She obviously doesn't care that I'm working, which if you have a daughter, that's the way it is. But Pete Grove, I know, was looking for a driver. Tim Schaefer would definitely fit that bill. I have not heard anything about him being in the car. I have heard about other people possibly being in the car. But other than that, no. I can do some checking on it. Give Tim a call. We have Ken on line 3. Ken, how's it going?
Oh, going pretty good tonight, Jeremy. I was just agreeing with that guy. Sounds like NARC has the same problem we have here in central Pennsylvania. The tracks can't play nice with each other because this weekend, Lincoln's got a big show. Port's still running. A couple of weeks, Port's got a big show. Lincoln's going to be still running. It'd be just great if they could just, for 1 week, just cooperate with each other and let the big show roll.
You know, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I wrote a column for SprintCarUnlimited.com. I believe it was last year, where I thought I stated that there should be like a master 80 race schedule in central Pennsylvania. 20 races at the Grove, 20 at Lincoln, 20 at Port Royal, like 15 at BAPS, and then you have your other shows to fill in. And obviously that's not going to happen because why would that happen? But even if they could, if a show at say Lincoln or Port Royal pays $8,000 or more to win, the other one takes off. Even if it's working with each other a little bit, I think it will cut down races. I think it'll, not drain fans as much. And I think it'll help the teams. So I agree with you. To me, maybe they just can't get in a room, make a master schedule, or at the very least, if you have a higher paying show, say $8,000 or more, everybody else takes off that night. I mean, one thing California seems to do is when they have a bigger show like that, you don't see another, say, big, like last week, you didn't have another 410 show against it anywhere in the state. You didn't have, I see that with 360 racing out there sometimes. Like you'll have Marysville run, but you're not going to have SCCT run over, a spring nationals race at Chico. They just do it better. I think the Midwest does it better. We have a lot of racing, and that's great. We have a lot of tracks in a close proximity. That's great. I just wish we could get the schedule worked out.
It'd be so much better for the drivers and the fans if they could all get to the one big race together, but that's not going to happen in Pennsylvania. One other question I had for you. I seen on the 13th, Knoxville had an entry list of drivers that were going to be running for points this year.
Yep.
And Justin Whittle's name was on there.
Yes.
But then on the 14th, it's no longer there. Was he at one point planning on going out there, or?
No, it's funny. I was at BAPS producing our pay-per-view, and I saw that, and I called Justin I texted Justin on the way home, and it was a mistake. They were trying to register for the Nationals, and they mistakenly registered for the whole season. So it was just a mistake on their part. They plan to run the Nationals. They're not going to run weekly. No.
Yeah, I saw on the 14th he wasn't there anymore, and there was some additions.
Sure.
But no him.
No.
So, okay. Well, it's always good to talk to you, Jeremy, and let's hope for good weather on Saturday, one way or the other.
Hell, just one day. Just give it to us Friday, whatever. Just something. So,
Well, Friday right now doesn't sound too bad.
No,
so
Saturday's 50.
maybe we can get through the whole weekend.
We'll see. Thank you very much, Ken, for calling.
Yep.
All right. What else do we got? With Stewart winning an NHRA event on Sunday, where does that place him in the hierarchy of greatest motorsports drivers? Near the top, obviously. I don't think like an AJ Foyt or a Mario Andretti had that opportunity, but still, you give it to Stewart. He jumped in an NHRA, funny car or whatever he was in, and I know he's switched, but drag racing, no problem, gonna win. Look, Tony's very good. He's one of the best drivers of all time in the United States. Where does this move him? I don't know. I think he was already near the top anyway for versatility. So it definitely could move him up to the top spot. John Kiley, what are your thoughts on Williams Grove teaming up with World Racing Group teaming up with Real American Beer? With Hogan's racist rumors, it doesn't seem like a good business move. I've been thinking about this most of the day. I know he dropped the N-bomb. And look, I'm not in favor of that. Obviously, we all know the game we're playing, and you can't. We know you shouldn't be saying it. And even if you're thinking it, you can't. But I also understand that times change. I don't like when people get hit with something 10 years after it happened, which his was 8. And then he had to apologize for it because somebody dug it up. I'm never in favor of that. Do I know if he's a racist? I think I've heard people use that word, and they're not racist. I know them. Now, should they be using that word? No. Am I in favor of it? No. Do I use it? Absolutely not. But is he a racist? I mean, everybody's definition seems to be different when it comes to racism. Would he sponsor my series? No. But I also wouldn't take, there's products I wouldn't take money from just because I don't believe in their products. I don't know. Are they going to take criticism for it? No, not in this sport. Not in this sport. The harsh reality is this. I hear the N word almost every week I'm in the pit area. Sorry, but I do. So I mean, it's not going to affect the World Racing Group in a negative. There'll be some people. From my stance, again, now Hulk Hogan's not a good guy. He's certainly not. You wouldn't want him to marry your daughter, that's for sure. So I think it's a slippery slope. I've been thinking about it a lot today. I may write about it for Thursday on the website, or I may talk about it on a 90 at 9. But I've talked about it here, and I just don't know how I feel about it because it's a slippery slope in that I don't know him. I know he's not a good guy. That's been well documented. So I don't know. Tough call. What else do we got? Oh, we have Jim on line 4. Is this Jim Gifford?
Hey, Jeremy. How we doing tonight?
How are you doing, Jim?
Having a great time. Back to work, living the life in the old iron lung going across the country.
There you go.
So, but But yeah, I want to congratulate fellow super trucker Danny Dietrich on his team for making it back there on Sunday. I mean, that's a hell of a run, but well worth it. And I got a lot of respect for Danny. Like him as a driver, pretty cool guy to talk to. But any guy that says what he feels and feels what he says, I got respect for that. And some people like it, some people don't. But oh well, everybody has an opinion.
Yes, that is true.
But yeah, I wanted to touch on your can of worms you opened today on your 90 at 9 with
I knew.
with your
Yeah. If
favorite
anybody was going to call about this, it was going to be
your personal favorite high limits against the World of Outlaws. And I'm not going to do what you think I may do. Okay. I think that top 5, top 6, they're pretty equal. Mm-hmm. But I believe that the Outlaws have a deeper field. I mean, because there's several guys I like on the Brad Tour. I love Justin Peck. I think he's a hell of a race car driver. Courtney, love him too. But so I think you might open up a can of worms on this deal. But
well, let me address this. First off, and we joke about this all the time, you and I. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not. I'm not a high limit guy. I'm a right down the middle guy. That's me. I just look at the numbers, and I do think the Outlaws are a little better. I mean, you line up 5 guys like, David Gravel, who I think's the best in the sport right now, Carson Macedo, who I think he's every bit as good as Brad right now. Not the same resume, but right now. And then you throw in a Logan Schuchart, who last year was 6th or 7th in the points. You have Buddy Kofoid. You have Gio Scelzi. You take those guys. And then you have Sheldon. We didn't even get to Sheldon yet. So if you throw in, I do think the Outlaws are a little better. But this idea where, it's, the Outlaws are at 10 and high limit at 2, which is what people, and they even call the high limit the old All-Stars. That is fictional. I saw the All-Stars plenty over the years in Central PA. High limit's definitely not the old All-Stars. So I just kind of wanted to make a point to give the numbers, and it's closer than a lot of people think.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you didn't even you barely mentioned Sheldon. You didn't mention Donnie, and you didn't mention Billy Baylog, who's running very consistent.
Exactly.
And like I said, I think the depth is better. In the top 5 on 5, I mean, you can get a different winner every night. But moving on, I'd like to congratulate Justin Sanders on a fine weekend. Nice comeback for him. Drove a hell of a race. Yep. So, and another thing too, that 4th heat race, I think it was Saturday night, that was one of the best heat races I've seen in years. I mean, and then the track took rubber, of course, but that was incredible. I mean, even my son, who went out racing at all, stood there and watched the whole heat race, and he goes, "That's pretty cool." And that's high praise from him.
Really? Yeah, I mean, look, I thought Peevely did a good job, especially Friday. And so, but again, here's my problem. Everybody's watching. Racing's pretty much rained out everywhere except California. You can't have it rubber up 20 laps or at the halfway point. That is the one thing in this sport. You're showcasing a 60-car event. You can't have that. They did a great job Friday. I know they're under new management. I know they're doing a lot of things down there, and I don't want to, seems like I'm banging on them. They just got to, the second day, you can't have that rubber. But you're right. The racing, that might be some of the best racing I've seen at Peevely. I know that's, I've been there. But I thought it was really good Friday and 3/4 of the way through Saturday.
I totally agree. I kind of look at it like it used to be at Eldora. You had the top line, and then you had the slider line. I know it's a smaller track, and you can't compare the two, but just the way they were running the track, it was freaking outstanding. But 2 little thoughts before I go. I hope you enjoy the American Hockey League playoffs this year.
If it turns out the right way.
And I got Well, I know Rochester will win, so
No.
we'll be okay with that.
We'll have a wager on that if
Yeah.
Rochester plays Hershey.
You stole me a beer from a couple of years ago when I beat you.
I don't even
That's
remember.
okay. We'll go double or nothing. How about that?
I'll give you a cheeseburger. We'll up the ante.
All right. From Cattleman's, you got a deal.
Yep.
But anyways, but just to stir the pot a little bit and have a little bit of fun, and I'll sign off. I really think that on the chat that Jovan Schultz is actually the Chaz in disguise.
No, he's not. Because I know his handle.
I just want to have some fun. You have a great week, and hopefully we get some racing in. I'm going to Knoxville, and I'm crossing my fingers. It's going to be fun. We'll see you.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
thank you very much, Jim. Appreciate it. All right, what's it? Jim's great. Big hockey fan. Anyway, can we get Kevin on the show or get some health updates and if and when he'll field the car this year? Yeah, I'll reach out to him again, they didn't run this early in the season anyway. Again, he's not going to come out for a $10,000 to win show unless he has a new driver shaking it down. They don't run this early. So I'll reach out to him and hopefully have an answer in the next couple weeks. Okay, Anthony. Hey, Jeremy, hope you're having a good day. Thank you. It's not bad. My question for you long term, will High Limit go to Australia be good for the series or will it be a bust? I was not at the event. I heard the event was really good. Is it going to carry a lot of weight? I think it's a novelty right now. Do they end up going somewhere else as well? Making like an international series. I know it's been talked about. I don't know. I don't know really the landscape of dirt track racing in other countries other than Australia. Like I said, nice novelty. I think it'll get eyes on High Limit maybe during the season more with Flo. It doesn't hurt. It definitely doesn't hurt them, but I don't know necessarily what the long-term impact's going to be, because if you have a one-off weekend at Perth, how much of an impact is that going to make? Again, fans, I do think fans maybe, they get to see Brad, they get to see Rico, they get to see, maybe they'll start taking more and more drivers over there. Obviously, Kyle was there. That doesn't hurt. And maybe it'll promote the High Limit series throughout the season. All right. Randy, Kale with a good race in the 1A, his first time in the car. Yeah, 16th to 10th is okay. I'm not ready to. It was okay. At a place like I expected that car to be a little closer to the front. Jacob's always run well there, but it was their debut. Obviously, Kale's got to get acclimated to how the Allens do things. So it was an okay debut. Wasn't good, wasn't bad. Robin announced Pittman will be running the 3 car at the Nationals. Does that open to $69K for Bell? Kreitz told me on the deep dive a couple weeks ago that he was not doing the Nationals. They just couldn't make it happen. He didn't really go into why, but they couldn't logistically make that happen. I think going to Vegas is part of that. They went to Volusia. That team's not built to go all over the country 70 times, 70 races a year. That's not what that team is. They went to Vegas. They went to Volusia. They're going to Texas, I think, at the end of April. So something's got to give. And I think it's probably easier for Pittman to get a ride for the Nationals as opposed to maybe Texas or Vegas or whatever. As far as Christopher Bell, have to look at the weekend. I think they're close to there. So I don't know. Maybe C. Bell gets a sponsor or something. Maybe that changes. But even so, Saturday night's the Nationals. C. Bell can't run on Saturdays. Now, I don't know if they're off that weekend, but I don't think they are. So that'll be difficult. All right. What else do we got? Spaz on line 5? This is Spaz. So please tell me you typed that wrong.
Yes.
Who do we got?
No.
Okay.
Hey, are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Spaz.
Okay.
Put it this way, my first name's Mike, but I've gone by Spaz since 1981.
It's like that movie Meatballs.
Sprint car. No, hell no. No. Nice try, brother. Big sprint car fan. I live out here in Arizona. Grew up in New Brighton, which is not that far from Lernerville. We used to go Lernerville Friday, Tri-City Saturday, or Mercer Saturday, Tri-City on Sunday. Question is, what do you think of Cy Lynch?
I pick, it takes me. I like him, and I picked him for Rookie of the Year.
Uh-huh.
I picked him for Rookie of the Year.
Did you really?
Yeah, he's struggling mightily. My theory was he times well, and he usually pretty good timing everywhere. The problem is he's timing well, but then he's braking, crashing, car stopping, coming out of turn 2 on the opening start, things like that.
Right.
So I like him.
I noticed that when he was out here at Casa Grande. Because I did watch I watched the races on TV, and I'm like, I wanted to go down and see, because I live in Mesa, not that far away. But when you're retired Air Force and retarded and you get disability, then whatever,
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line was I wanted to see him, and then Royal Jones canceled both nights in New Mexico, and I thought about going to that. But we need more racing out here in Arizona. There was a good crowd both nights in Casa Grande. Everybody thinks, you got to go to California. Yeah, run these little itty bitty tracks, these little quarter mile. That's what you run the midgets on. You don't run a 410 sprint on a freaking on a quarter mile track. That to me is like a waste of 950 horsepower.
There's
no.
Two.
What do you think?
Well, okay. First off, they had great crowds at Central Arizona. I was surprised. I mean, I didn't know it was a sellout the second night. That is great.
Uh-huh.
Like it.
Yeah.
Votto obviously lost the Tuesday show to weather, so we didn't. And that's a premier facility. I believe the Outlaws are going to be there later this year.
I hope so.
The quarter mile thing. Look, there's a couple schools of thought. In Pennsylvania, you have obviously half miles, except for Grandview, which the sprint cars go there twice. You have BAPS and Lincoln. They say they're halves, but they're not halves. They're a little smaller.
Okay.
Your best racing's on your smaller tracks. And the proof is in two things. Just watch the races. And secondly, although Central Arizona was good until it rubbered up. But here's the other thing. Where are the best drivers coming from now? California.
I know. Well, that's where the money. Hold on, Jay. That's where the money's coming from.
No, but
California.
That's fine.
Right.
But you're not winning races against the Outlaws because of money. They all have money. These guys are coming out and beating the Outlaws because they're just better. They have a better training ground. Carson Macedo, Brad Sweet, Rico, Buddy, Gio, Larson, the list, Corey Day. The list keeps going.
I was going to say Corey Day is the next Kyle Larson. No doubt about it.
Well, his NASCAR stuff hasn't been going well.
You know what? Let me tell you. I think honestly, I think Kyle's wasting his time with the redneck racing. He needs to go to Indy. Let him run IndyCar and then do his high limit. I think that'd be awesome.
I wouldn't mind.
Let me tell you, I look at the crowds. You know what? I look at the crowds when I'm watching NASCAR. They don't look like they're full like they used to be back in the day. So what do you think about that?
They're not full like they used to be back in the day. But here's the thing to remember. Okay, if you have a grandstand that has 100,000 people or 80,000 people, and it's half full, you're still getting 40,000 people. What sprint car race gets 40,000 people?
Yeah. I know. I understand. I totally understand that. But let me tell you. Okay, back to Cy really quick.
Yep.
I loved his grandpa, Ed Lynch.
Mhm.
People loved him or hated him. I was the one that loved Lou Blaney, Mr. Quiet.
Yep.
Great driver. Are you kidding me? I worked on a car for this driver called Steve Travers. It was a Quinn Trucking 19, and he was good, but nothing like Ed or Eddie Murphy or Ralph Corderson. I mean, Johnny Bieber used to come in, and Brad Doty would come into Lernerville. And oh my gosh, the GOAT, Rick Ferkel, what a guy.
Yeah, they had a lot of guys
All
come
the
into the
ladies
West.
loved him 'cause he
They had a lot of guys come in from
Yeah.
into Western Pennsylvania. I mean, Kenny Jacobs came in,
Mhm.
and I remember him in
Yes,
that
he did.
Ford J.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. I'm with you. By the way, being from New Brighton, which is Western PA, we're like 10 minutes from Ohio. You people are not Central Pennsylvania.
Okay. Now,
Williams Grove is not Central Pennsylvania, Jeremy.
look,
It took us 3.5 hours to go from New Brighton all the way to Williams Grove on the turnpike. Oh my gosh, such a long drive, and I wasn't driving it.
look, I like.
But yeah, you guys are.
Wait a second, though. Here's the problem.
Go ahead.
It's look. I have no look. I can't fight geography. I mean, I can see that John's. Center County is the center of the state, and I get that. But when it comes to the sprint car world, everybody calls it Central Pennsylvania. I'm not going to fight City Hall.
Okay. Okay, just like people call him Tito Francona. In New Brighton, he was T. Francona. His dad was Tito.
Yeah.
And it's like, get it right, people.
Yeah, look.
So, but whatever.
We're not really Eastern Pennsylvania either. We're kind of in the middle. So, you know what? I'm just calling it Central Pennsylvania.
Dude, you guys are closer to Jersey.
Yes.
You're not as close to Jersey than I am to Ohio, but
no.
Hey, I love Arizona. More racing out here where the weather is gorgeous.
Yes.
All the time.
Well, we'll see. I think you're going to see
more. By the
more
way,
races.
I love your show.
Thank you.
I hope so. I really do. I used to go to Manzanita. Are you kidding me? Hello. I went, dude, first time I went there, I'm driving home back to the station at Williams Air Force Base. The cop pulls me over and says, "What are you doing on this side of town?" And I'm like, "Oh, I went to the races in Manzanita." He says, "Do not stop on the way back to Mesa." I'm like, "Yes, sir." I mean, it was in a bad location in Phoenix. So I'm like, "Yes, sir, officer." So I got the heck out of there. Let me tell you.
Get out of Dodge.
I love your show and I love sprint car racing, and no doubt, forget shots. All these guys, Rick Ferkel is and will always be the GOAT. No doubt about it.
Well, he doesn't make my Mount Rushmore, but I appreciate your opinion on that.
Oh my gosh. And this is from a dumb Pollock.
Oh,
so that's what I am. So growing up, there were Italians and Polacks. I was the Pollock. So whatever. Anyhow, love your show.
Thank you very much,
Have a great
Spaz.
day,
I appreciate it.
Good talking to you.
Yep. Take care. Jeremy, I hear the 15 team removed Ford stickers from their car and website. Any news if they announced an official permanent split? No, they're still going to be doing R&D the rest of the year, from what I'm told by people at TSR. The sponsor, obviously it's not going to be the same as it was. I mean, I think that's why you're seeing things missing as the weeks go on. And obviously it's missing in the main area, which is under the hood. And that's a Chevy. It's a Kistler. I'm not sure if Shaver got a motor to him yet or not, but I think you're going to continue to see that. But apparently there still is a relationship there, and they are doing R&D. At least that's what they're saying at TSR. So I got to go with that. All right. What else do we got? Jeremy, since Zeb Wise is a sprint car driver, why doesn't he want to get in a car and drive? He's not going to get in something that's going to make him look bad. I mean, look, there's two schools of thought to this as well. It's, hey, I got to remain relevant, so I'm going to jump in anything. The other theory is, you know what? I'm going to be selective because I'm not going to jump in something that's going to make me look bad and then my stock goes down. It can work both ways. I like how Zeb's playing this because he's going against the grain a little bit. He's holding himself to a certain level, and he's not just going to jump in any situation to race. He doesn't owe anyone except the creditors. So I don't I like how he's handling it because it's kind of new. It's kind of different. There's why jump in something that's not going to be competitive? That makes no sense to me. All right, what else do we got? If Danny Dietrich started up near the front at Peevely, do you think he would have stayed and raced for a win? Yeah, I mean, I think if he's starting in the first 4 rows, made the dash, I don't think he pulls out of there. But only Dietrich can answer that. But I think if he could have raced for a win at Peevely, I think he stays. I don't think he bows out of that. I think definitely starting 19th had something to do with the decision. Had to, at least a little bit. What else do we got? Dietrich seems to generally have a better attitude so far this season, and it's great to see. Do you get the same vibes from when interviewing him? He's the same as I've always talked to. I think maybe a little more guarded, or I should say reserved, than he used to be. I think he used to just fire in like all the time. I think he's a little more reserved, but he's still going to say what he wants. He's still going to do what he wants to do. The decision making has never changed. He changed today what he's going to do in August. He was supposed to run the 360 Nationals. He's not doing that. He's going back to Peevely. He's going to do whatever he thinks is best for his team that night. And whether it's, I've seen him load up after his heat race because, they were going to be buried on a track that was maybe too fast. Like Port Royal, he's done that a couple times where the track was so fast and he was buried in the B main. He just didn't come out. I call that smart business. Other people might not, but he's going to march to the beat of his own drum. I wish some things he would curtail a little bit. I wish there's some things he would think a little bit before he says them, but Danny's going to be Danny, and I haven't seen much of a change in him, just maybe a little bit over the years, and he is who he is, and that's why he has the fans he does. All right, should I go watch 410s at Mercer to see them or go see the Minecraft movie Saturday? I don't know. Do you have kids? If you're you might want to take your kids to Minecraft, but I'm never going to tell you not to go to a racetrack. How about that? Why does the Grove not schedule high limit? Is it a flow or dirt vision or outlaw or high limit problem? It's a Grove stronghold. Back in 2006, when NST was around, the Grove stuck with the outlaws. And that's why the Grove has the swag they do with the outlaws. That's why they can kind of control a little bit or have a say in this area with who gets outlaws shows, because they always were committed to the World of Outlaws. This is a World of Outlaws thing. The Grove would not even entertain a high limit race. I don't think they'd even talk to them unless the Outlaws went away, and that's not happening. All right, what else do we got? Hopefully something. The Thunder in the PA Mountains series is the best. Watching your 1990, it was so different back then. I guess you mean Thunder on the Hill at Grandview, I would assume. Yeah, no, Grandview's good. I hope you're talking about that. But yeah, I mean, that's Grandview. Guys like going to Grandview. They don't draw a big car count because it is, like I said, third of a mile, and it's tight and things. But Speed Week shows usually really good there. It can rubber up sometimes, but it's still a great show. I enjoy it. It's like running sprint cars in a thimble. So I like it. All-Stars have opened up. The drivers can sign up until Pill Draw Fremont next week. Yeah, I would expect. I think they're looking, obviously, to increase their roster. That Thunder in the PA, that was from 1990, I believe, to 2001. I have to look. That's a while ago. It's a while ago. But, yeah, the All-Stars, I figured they would do that. It makes sense. They didn't get their opening weekend in, and now it's, I guess, next week. Not this coming weekend. The weekend after, the Saturday after that, they'll be at Fremont. Zeb needs to race. Don't race, be forgotten. Zeb just needs a ride. Okay, a decent ride would help out, but a ride better than no ride? Is he good enough to get a top 20 ride? I'm not sure. Again, I'll stick by my original statement. I don't think he's going to be forgotten. Even if he does, I mean, people know he's out there. It's not like he hasn't fielded calls. He's talked to numerous teams. He was after the 1A ride. He told me anyway that would have been perfect for him. They took Cale Thomas instead of him. So, I don't think he's going to be forgotten. In fact, I think he'll be the first guy when somebody in the top 20, 25, everybody's top 25 is different. When somebody calls him, I think he'll jump at it if it's the right team. It's got to make sense. He's not going to go out there and just putt around and be in a bad car. That doesn't help your stock either. So it's a slippery slope. All right, what else do we got? Anyone remember Elmer Stoltzfus, the Flying Amishman? Yes, I do remember him. Ooh, that means I'm old. But yes, I do remember Elmer Stoltzfus. What else do we got there? Do you think we will see Tanner Holmes in a national series in 2026? Well, it didn't hurt Cole Macedo that he did well last year in California. Obviously, it helped that he got out in the road as well, and he ran Newton's car. He had some good performances. He ran some other cars. I don't know. I know I talked to him about his future, and I think it's what he wants to do. Now, can he do it in his 18 car? Probably not. But he is talking about moving that stuff out here and bumping around, pick and choose schedule. That's how you got to do it. So I don't think Tarleton will go national tour racing, but who knows? If he goes to Knoxville this week and he puts it into, I know, look, everybody's racing for the win, and I get that. If the Tarleton car gets it in the top 10 this week, that's a good performance. And considering what the car count could be, making the A main could be a good accomplishment. It's not like Tanner has a ton of laps here. So that's how you get noticed. He's going to run a few Outlaws shows in the 21 car over the next month or whatever, or next 2 or 3 weeks. And we'll see. We'll see how he performs, and that could determine if he's on a national tour next year. All right. Do we have anything else? Over under in rainouts this weekend. Doesn't look good Saturday in PA. It's 50-50. And honestly, at this point, you can't roll the dice. If you keep rolling the dice on these programs and trying to race, and you happen to get it in, but you take a bath at the gate, that's counterproductive. I don't envy tracks this time of year. That's why if I was running a racetrack, it wouldn't take much for me to pull it, because I know I have 25 races the rest of the year, and I'm not going to lose 5 figures because people don't show up when the weather's questionable. Port Royal and Lincoln Speedway are facing that again this week on a Saturday night. It's just, everybody kills the Grove for that. I don't blame them one bit. It's like playing, you're basically a riverboat gambler at that point. And Unless you have a good system, that's not healthy for the wallet. So, so I think in PA this week, Grove's going to get in. It looks good. Lincoln and Porter 50-50. So I think we could lose one, maybe two. The Outlaws look okay so far, but look, we're still 4 days out, 4 days out. Weather can change. It's going to be chilly in Knoxville. So I think we get those in. The West Coast, I'm not sure what we got going out there. The weather comes off the water out there. I don't know what we have. So what else do we got? How did Moose's LZ Bar and Grill get on the Snow Racing 7 in California? It feels weird out there. Brock Zierfoss drove that car a few times. So they just, they have a relationship there. Brock drove the car, so it only made sense to put Moose's on it. Jeremy, you should get the All-Star Circuit of Champion announcer on sometime. I'm interested to see who he is. I believe they said Alan Robinson. So is it? I think he put a question up tonight. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that. But yeah, I mean, it's quite possible that happens, especially deep dives. This week's deep dive, just so people know, is going to be Sandy Klein. It'll be the first time we have a female on. She's a female owner. Doug Hamaker is her driver. She came back this year as an owner. Used to be Jim and her husband, who passed away recently, like a year ago. So we're gonna talk to her for the deep dive. So you never know who we're gonna have on. All right. Do we have anybody? Is Kyle Pruitt the reason for the 1S's resurgence? I think it definitely helps. He's a big part of it. I don't know if it's necessarily from what he knows. I think it's organization. I think it's less Logan has to worry about. Logan can focus on driving now. Kyle can it's somebody for Logan to bounce stuff off of. It's organization. It's just a situation. It made their situation better. I'm a big situation guy. I think you could take the best crew chief, best driver, and the best owner, and it doesn't work. See Greg Hodnett and Al Hamilton Racing. They won some races, but it was supposed to be off the charts, and it wasn't. It just doesn't always happen. There's personalities involved. Obviously, Pruitt gels with that team. I think he's a big part of their success, and I think it just relieves some of the pressure on Logan to do everything. All right. Tim Schaefer will be driving the 17 high limit at Tri-City Park, just posted. There you go. I would assume that's a 17 GP, the Dutcher car. I would assume. I have not seen the post, obviously, because I'm on here, but I will definitely check that out. Thank you very much for posting that. Little nugget. What sprint car racers come from Arizona that can win races? That's a good question. Wing 410 sprint car drivers? I don't think they have a lot of them. In fact, I'm trying to think who is actually from Arizona. I know Kyle Larson lives there now. I think Kyle Larson, is it Larson and Tony? I think they have places out there, but they're not from there. So, all right. Tanner said last week it was his goal to run high limit next year. Yeah, he wants to run a national series, but I don't think he'll turn down an Outlaws ride either. But high limit would make more sense because shorter schedule. If he wants to piece together, if he wants to piece together a ride just for high limit and then run some other stuff with another car, it allows him more freedom to do it. I could understand that. And I think that's one of the big differences with Outlaws and high limit. It's all what you want to do. Shorter schedule, more freedom, so on and so forth. So wouldn't surprise me at all. How are tracks paying bills when they have to cancel programs? Well, do you want to lose your fixed costs, which is electricity and full-time people, or do you want to lose 20,000 because you ran when no one's in the stands and you get it in? I'm going to lose the fixed cost ones. I would say if you have to pay for water, because some tracks do, not all tracks have ponds or places to get water, so you have to pay for it. And then you have your full-time people, and you have, your maintenance and whatnot. So I'd rather lose that than say 20,000 because I ran and shouldn't have. So how do they pay their bills? Carefully. You're waiting for that big show. You're waiting for the Outlaws to come to town. You're waiting for a Speed Week show. You're waiting for the Knoxville Nationals, where you hit a home run and you can pay everything and put some money in the coffer. It's simple as that. That's weekly racing now. Dicey game. Jeremy, what do your streaming numbers look like for your events? I can't tell you our numbers. I'm not contractually, I can't do that. And I will say that we share revenue with the track directly, and the tracks that we have are very happy. Our per race is higher than what the other streaming services will pay a track. So, most of them. I think there's really only one track in the chain, or one or two tracks, where they get a big stipend of money. I'm not going to go into who, but we do a good job. One of the things, and look, I want to say this about streaming. It's not about the money part. People don't realize what it takes to put on an event. Last week, for instance, I had an audio problem. I had a new announcer. I had an audio problem. I had a graphics problem. And you're fixing stuff along the way. And it's nothing anyone did. 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, I had the replay hard drive that we used for the replays just die. And it was brand new. I pulled out an old one this week and it worked fine. So it is a moving target. Streaming is not easy. I know you guys pay a lot of money for it. It's not an excuse. It's just, it is not, none of us are ESPN. It's where the big truck rolls in and and even they have problems sometimes. So it is definitely, and the tracks, let's face it, you're not broadcasting from, Michigan Stadium, Penn State, these venues. You're broadcasting sometimes in areas like Path Valley. We have the Speed Week show at Path Valley. We're going to be using Starlink. They have no internet. Last year at Grandview, we had no internet. We had to use hotspots and Starlink. And if you've ever been to Bechtelsville, PA, there's not a lot of service. So guys, be a little aware that it's not always it's not always easy. I can't tell you numbers. I'm in a contract with Speedways. I just can't tell you their numbers. But I will say, per event, our tracks are very happy with what we give them. All right. Is Macri towing west or staying home to try and double up at the Grove, barring any rain? Good question. Ryan Hand, who's my co-host on our podcast, usually I ask him what they're doing. He works for Macri Concrete. I've not talked to him yet this week. In fact, it's dicey for a podcast because he has games all week. I'm hoping to tape it Thursday, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to tow out or not. I thought maybe he'd go to Peevely. He did not. They haven't been running well or real well. And he might stick around here a little bit just to get rolling again before he goes out. Maybe he goes out for Eldora for Let's Race 2. I think that might be the next time he goes out. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him in Central Pennsylvania this week. especially with the money that's on the line. Remember the days when Kevin Gobrecht in the Zemco 11 and Billy Pouch in the 1? What a lineup. Yeah, it was good, especially Kevin. Something clicked with Kevin, and all of a sudden, he just got it. It just clicked. And yes, I agree. No doubt. Both of them were good in the Zemco car. There's definitely a good lineup. All right. I think this is our last question coming up. Yes, Bruce Ellis would be a good deep dive, and I will be calling him as well. He's on my list. I made a list of guys who I want on the deep dive, and Bruce Ellis was on it. Steve Kent in California is on it. Some other guys that I want to get. I don't really want to talk to. It's not that I don't want to, but I talk to drivers, current drivers, in every, when I'm at the races for the website. So I don't really want to do them I don't want to really have them on the deep dive. I want to have people behind the scenes a little more, or somebody who's retired, but there's a lot of guys to get on the deep dive. And as I said, we're going to have Sandy Klein this Thursday. I interview her tomorrow. Should be good. Check it out. Do we have anything else? Or are we pretty much, this is early this week. All right, guys, we're done. No more questions, no more calls. Again, stay tuned to SprintCarUnlimited.com all week for your sprint car needs. I'm going to go finish the top 50 now. Also do the 90 at 9. We have a mini Gold Cup wrap-up coming over the next 24 hours from Joseph Terrell. So a lot of content on the website. Also, the YouTube channel, 90 at 9 Deep Dive. We'll be back next Tuesday with another show. Stay tuned.